Afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I am the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I would like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today is a live webinar, and we will be going over the chapter webmaster functions within BNI Connect. So whether you are using it or not, there is a chapter web page for every single chapter in BNI Connect, and you do have an opportunity as a chapter to go in and to edit this web page, to put up your own information and to customize it to your liking. Today's webinar, a couple of housekeeping things. It is a live webinar, so if you have any questions as we're going through the webinar, please do feel free to ask them. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might raise. The best way to do that is through the questions panel that's in the GoToWebinar software. If you are using a computer with a microphone, or if you're dialed in via a telephone connection, you can also request to have your mic opened up, and I will unmute you, and you can speak your question. To do that, there is a hand-raising feature. Today's webinar is being recorded. We have approximately 30 minutes or so of scheduled content that we're going to go over, although I am always happy to stay on these webinars until all of your questions are answered. But we will record it, and these will be made available in two places. The first of which is if you're logged into BNI Connect, click on the question mark in the upper right-hand corner, and what you'll see is our support page. And if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a training section and a webinars section below that. You'll see all the webinars listed by month. So if you click on there, you can go through and view any of the recorded webinars that have been uploaded. You can also view them directly on our YouTube site, which is youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. And all of our videos are uploaded there. So let's get to today's content. And we're going to talk about the chapter websites today. So what is a chapter website? Well, if you go to your regional website, and depending on where you are, will depend on what that regional website is. So for example, I'm here in the Rhode Island area. Our regional website happens to be BNIRI for Rhode Island, BNIRI.com. If you're in Arizona, maybe it's BNIAZ.com, or if you're in Tennessee, it might be BNITN.com or Utah.com. I know New York City's is ManhattanBNI.com. So every region has their own identity with a regional website. And within that regional website, you also have a chapter web page. For example, here's our Antarctic referrals. This is our region up in Antarctica, test region for us here on the project. And if I go to find a chapter, I can look at all the chapters that are up there in Antarctica. Now, one of those chapters is the BNI Burr chapter. And if I click on that, it will just give me some chapter details. But I can also visit the chapter website. Now, this is the customizable page that you can kind of do a lot of things with. You can put your own text up there. You can put your own graphics up there. Some of the things are pulled automatically from the system. So one of the great things about using the web page through BNI Connect is that the pertinent information, that means the member details and your leadership team and your upcoming speakers and how much money your chapter has passed, all of that is automatically updated by BNI Connect. So every single time somebody views the page, it will be current. Now, a lot of chapters in the past have always created their own websites. Well, that's a lot of work to go in and make sure that every time a member joins your chapter or leaves the chapter, you have to go up there and update that profile. Same thing with speakers and leadership teams and all that stuff. This makes it a little bit easier. The other great things are that you'll always be in branding compliance, having the correct logo and the correct header information and the correct color scheme. That's always been a challenge when creating your own web page. Now that part of it is automated here. So you can see on the left, it'll show some vital statistics about our chapter, where we meet, what day we meet, what time we meet, who our leadership team is, how many members we have in the chapter. It'll show the thank you for closed business. And in the chapter members, it will show a listing of all of the chapter members. And you can go through and click on each of the chapter members' details page. So what are some of the things that you can change on this site? Some of the things you can change are everything in this box. So you can change all of the words here. You can change or add multiple pictures here. There's another page that you can add as well called the chapter gallery that is hidden right now on this particular chapter page. And even on these pages, you can customize a header up here. You can customize a footer at the bottom. And on the member details page, you can also customize headers and footers. What are some things that some chapters have done? Well, the other great thing is that it is indexed by Google. So I know there's a BNI Mill River chapter in Massachusetts that's done some customization to their site. So if I do a search for BNI Mill River, you'll notice that it is the #1 search result for that particular chapter in this region. And if I click through to it, you'll see they've done some customization here. They've changed the words here. They've made the heading with the automatic tabulation of their thank you for closed business a little bit bigger and bolder. They put in, instead of that graphic, they took that out and they put a custom Google map that shows the location of their chapter. They added a link to search their members. They added their Twitter link and they added their Facebook link as well. You can see that they also have their chapter members listed here. They customized a header up here. And then they also enabled the gallery page, which you can see they renamed that to Chapter News. And if we click on that, we can see that they made it like a blog style. So going through, they added some pictures. They had a couple of blog posts in there. These are all things that you can do with your chapter site to make it your own. So how do we do that? Well, you need to log into BNI Connect in order to do that. So here I am logged into BNI Connect, and the place to go to edit the chapter web page is to go to Tools, CMS, Chapter Websites. Now, if you are new to this, you may not see that particular option. So the way that BNI Connect works is that you will have various functions and options within BNI Connect depending on what roles that you have. So if you're not seeing the Tools menu, it means that you haven't yet been assigned to be a chapter webmaster. Only after you become a chapter webmaster will the Tools CMS option appear. So if that's not there, please go to your director consultant or go to your executive director or the regional office and say, hey, I want to be the chapter webmaster. Can you please assign that role to me? So let's take a look at the CMS Editor. So I'm going to go to Tools, CMS, Chapter Websites. Now I'm going to switch over to our Antarctica region. And because I'm a system administrator, I see all of these regions and all of these websites. The only ones that you would see would be the ones that you are a chapter webmaster for. So let's say that I wanted to edit one of these sites. So again, these are the sites that I see. I'm going to go in and we're going to play with the Burr chapter today. So to get in and edit that site, I'm going to click the Edit icon over here on the right. So what we're looking at here is you'll see that there's a number of different tabs here. These are all the different pieces of information on the page. Down below here is the structure of the website. So I'm going to go through what each of these different pages are and what they do. So the first page here is all of the pages. So if we look at our chapter website, you'll notice there's a home page, there's a chapter members page, and then there's a gallery page. You can also see that under chapter members, there's subsections or subpages. We have the member details, the chapter details, and the send message page. So again, going back over to my chapter site here, let me go back to the Antarctica, antarcticreferrals.com. Oops, go to find a chapter. And let me go over to my BNI Burr chapter site again here. So you'll notice we have the home page, and these are the things on the home page, and then we have the chapter members page. So again, the home page and the chapter members page. And right now the gallery is hidden on this page. Once it's shown, and I refresh this page, you'll see that the gallery page now appears. So there's different things that you can do with these pages, and I'll get into this in just a minute because I want to show you what the other tabs do. So the second tab here is the library. Now, what is the library? The library are the images that you want to put onto your web page. Now, the way that the CMS editing works is that you do need to take whatever images that are on your computer that you want up on this website, put them into the library so that they're accessible to your website. You have to get them off your computer and onto the web server. Now, it's pretty easy to do that. You just go to the library button and click on images and click the upload button. And now what you do is you're going to search your computer for the files that you want to transfer from your file system into the server's file system. I do that by clicking the magnifying glass. Then I just need to go find pictures on my particular site. So let's say I'd like to take this image and upload it. I just double click it. It'll tell me it's ready to upload. It'll tell me the size, and I click upload. And now that picture is part of my chapter library, so I can use it later to put it onto my chapter site. You can also upload documents if you'd like to, as well as Flash objects. Now the next tab is the Cite Information Tab. So these are a couple of little back-end things about the site. So there's some things that you can change on this and some that you can't. So right now it's telling you what the domain name is. So the first part of this domain name is your regional website. So the chapter web pages are a sub-site within the domain. And it's telling you that currently the site you would point to is antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-burr-chapter. Now that's a default name. So when the system created the site, it takes the region name, and then it takes the chapter name, and it puts dashes in between where all the spaces were. You can change that if you would like to make it a little bit easier to remember. So if you're out there promoting your chapter website and you say to people, hey, go to our chapter website. It's antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-burr-chapter. That's kind of a mouthful. Let's say I wanted it to be, just go to antarcticreferrals.com/burr. Well, I could do that by just changing the chapter folder name to Burr. That way it's a little bit easier to get to this website without going through the navigation to do it. You can also use that as hyperlinks in documentation and signature lines and things like that. I'm going to go ahead and look at the next field. The next field is the site tagline. Now that we can't change. That's what's going to appear under your chapter name here, Local Business Global Network. That is BNI's tagline, and that is part of the branding, and it cannot be changed. There are 3 buttons on the site that you can change the name of, but before you do that, please do check with your regional office. Just for consistency between the chapter websites, I please ask that you get permission before you go ahead and change the names of those buttons. And finally, if you'd like to track who's going to your site and what they're doing there, you can use any kind of analytics service that you prefer. Just copy and paste the code in here, and you will be all set. If you make any changes on this page, do make sure you click the Update page. Now what you'll see is that our URL has changed. Down here we have 2 different options. We have the preview URL and the live URL. And you'll see they both change. The end of it is /burr. Now, the reason that there's two different URLs, we're going to go in and we're going to start working on editing the site in a second. What you're really doing when you go in and edit is you're working on a background copy of the site. So you're working on one copy. The rest of the world sees the existing copy. So you can go in and you can make changes as quickly or as slowly as you would like to make those changes. And go back and save them, and then go back and work on them later, then go back and work on them again if you'd like to, and make sure that they're perfect before the rest of the world sees them. In order to update what the rest of the world sees, what it does is it takes that preview site, the one that you're working on, the back-end copy, and then it will overwrite the live copy. In order to do that, you click the Publish button. So again, that'll take all of the stuff that you were working on and make it live to the rest of the world. So let's take a look at the various pages. You'll notice there's three options when it comes to the pages. You can edit the name of the main pages here if you'd like to. So let's say that I don't like the word home. So I don't want it to say home here on the first page. Let's say I wanted to say that this was our chapter info, or maybe just chapter info. I could click Submit. And now what you'll notice is that on our preview site at least, it no longer says home, it says chapter info. The second thing that you can change on these is the meta tags. Now, search engine optimization is an art form in and of itself. So coming up with a good description and keywords and meta tags, these are how you get found by Google and Bing and Yahoo and all those other search engines out there. I would definitely have a word with your search engine optimization person, either in your chapter or in a chapter close by. As I said, this is an art form unto itself. And then finally, we have the edit content, and this is really where the meat and potatoes of it comes in. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Edit Content. And what this will do is bring up an editable copy of your web page. So some things that you'll notice about this page is we have the yellow bar up at the top, and this is showing us what we're working on. We're editing the page, antarcticreferrals.com/Burr, and we're editing the chapter info page. To the right, you'll notice a couple of buttons. We have using library images. So that means that when I'm going to go upload photos, it's going to use the images that I've uploaded. There's also a common library that has another set of images that is stock image photography that is provided by BNI. If you'd like to use that, just click on this button and it will ask you, do you want to switch over to that site? And then this would say using common library. The next button is a preview, so if you want to see what it's going to look like, you can click preview and then click back to edit. And of course, the save and close buttons. Now, you'll notice that some of the things on the page you can't edit. Again, this whole left bar here, that's all dynamic content. It's pulled out of BNI Connect live every time the page is viewed, so it'll always be updated. The chapter speakers will appear at the bottom of the page, assuming that your secretary-treasurer is entering speakers into the system. The next 1 month of speakers will show up. And we can't change the names of these buttons or the top header or anything from here. What we're going to be working on is basically the stuff that's inside this box right here, including this blue bar up here. So we can type in anything we'd like up here. Now this bottom box is where we're going to do most of our editing. You'll notice at the top we have a couple of toolbars, and this is what allows us to do a lot of things on this page. A lot of these functions will be familiar. If you've ever created a Word document or something similar, you should be able to recognize a lot of these various functions here. One thing to note is that this is a full HTML editor. So if you are somebody that is skilled in web programming, you'll be happy to know that you can do some pretty advanced things with this particular web page. You can do that through the source code. If I click the source button, what you'll find is this is the actual HTML code of this page. So this is where if you wanted to do some advanced things such as building forms into your page, or you want to insert some iframes or any other type of coding that you would like to, this is the place to do that. For you non-programmers out there, myself included, I am not a web designer by trade. This is still helpful because you can create a backup of your site through here as well, which is what I'm going to do right now. So if you switch over to source and you just click in there, Control-A to select all, Control-C to copy, and then put this into a Word document or a Notepad document. Let's say that I go through and I make a bunch of edits to the page and I completely mess it up. I can put it back by just copying and pasting that source code right back in here. So again, that source is a toggle. So let's go through some of these other buttons and functions that we can do within the chapter website. So the second button here is a template. So this is the default template. If you don't like it, that's okay. You can pick a different template by clicking that button. So if you'd like to have it be a table or an image over to the left with text surrounding it, you can go ahead and select one of those. The next couple of buttons are the undo, redo, cut, copy, and paste. Those are all familiar from things like Microsoft Word. But the next two buttons you may or may not recognize, and those are paste as plain text and paste from Word. So why would we want to use those? Well, let's say that you're putting in a whole bunch of text here, but you'd have already written it either on another website or in a Word document or somewhere else, or you're copying and pasting. A lot of times it's best to use one of these options. And the reason for that is when you copy stuff from another source, what this editor is going to try to do is to keep the font, the size, the weight, the bold, all of those things in place when you paste it. The problem is that if you use really weird fonts on that document or anything like that, it may not do a very good job. It's usually easier just to be able to get the text that you're looking for so you don't have to retype it, but then reformat it afterwards to match what the rest of the look and feel of the site is. And really that's what these are for, is to be able to just get the text and not all the other kind of junk that comes along with it. The next couple of buttons here are Find and Replace to search through your document. We have the Select All button, and we have the Remove Formatting button. Now the Remove Formatting button, that's also almost similar to Paste as Plain Text, but as you go through and you start making edits to here and you're not sure if everything's the same size and shape anymore, you can click the Remove Formatting button to bring it back to the default size, shape, and font style, and then go back through and edit it as you see fit. This next whole group of buttons have to do with creating forms. I'm not going to get into that today because it's somewhat of an advanced feature. Knowing that it can have forms for either capturing visitor data or things like that, you can do things like that on the site. It will require some back-end source coding. So again, I'm not going to get into that part today, but do know that it can be done. The next couple of buttons here, you can maximize the screen if you'd like to. I don't find this incredibly helpful when you're in the WYSIWYG editor, the what you see is what you get editor, which is what we're using now, but it does help if you are using the source code. You can also show blocks. A lot of people find this helpful, especially with web editing, to find out where all the paragraph markers are. And you can use the superscript and subscript for things like doing on the 1st of the month. So if I wanted to make sure that that was superscripted, I could do that. These are all fairly common word editing tools, so you can make things bold, you can make things italic, you can underline text, and you can even strike through text. You can do numbered and bulleted lists. As well as the bullets. You can increase and decrease the indents, and even add some block quoting. We have align center, right, justify. Now the next couple of buttons we start getting into some of the web-specific functions. So this first one is the link button. So a lot of times you may want to send somebody to another site. You do that through linking things. You can link pictures as well as text. So let's say that I wanted this BNI to go to the BNI.com website. You can do that by making that word a hyperlink. So you double-click it or highlight the group of words that you would like to be the hyperlink. Click the link button and type in where you want it to go to. So I want that to go to www.bni.com. And again, you can do the same thing with pictures, which I'll show you in just a second. If you'd like to remove the link, you can break the link by unlinking it. You can also link to anchors in the page. So if you end up having a really long web page, you can create links within the page in order to jump to different sections on the page. Now the next button allows you to put your own pictures into the site. So let's say that I wanted to go ahead and put one of those pictures that I uploaded from the library. I'd click Image, and then I'm going to go Browse the server. So this will browse the server for the things that I uploaded earlier. You can see it has some stock pictures in there, and it has some of the pictures that I uploaded. So let's say I want to put a link to the BNI Connect support page via a picture in there. I can do that by selecting this image. I can resize it if I'd like to. So this is a little bit big, so maybe I'm only going to make it 100 pixels. And click OK. So now we have our BNI Connect support. Now let's take this one step further. And I want to, when people click on the picture, I want it to go to the support site. Well, I can do that by highlighting it, clicking the link button, and I want this to go to support.bniconnect.com. And now when people click this link, it will bring them to support.bniconnect.com. If you had uploaded any Flash images, you could do the same thing here. I don't have any Flash functions uploaded. One thing people find helpful is the ability to put tables in as well. You can draw a table into it. One good use for this is for organizing pictures to keep them nice and aligned on the page. You can put smiley faces in there if you absolutely want to, and then also special characters. So if you're looking for, let's say, the copyright symbol, that is where you would find it. You can change styles as well as different fonts. I warn you about using different fonts, and the reason is Arial is the branded font for BNI, so whenever possible, I do recommend that you use the Arial font. You can change the size as well as the colors and the backgrounds. Now, once you're ready, you see our new, wonderful, gorgeous chapter page here. I can go ahead and preview what that's going to look like, and then I can save it. When I'm ready, I can go back to this page. I can take a look at our preview. And again, this is what I was working on, so you can go back to the preview as often as you want. Make sure it's looking the way it needs to be looking. And when you're ready, click Publish. And now, the very next person that goes to that site whoops. Let me go back there. We'll see our updated web page in all of its glory. So those are the basics. That is how to update your chapter website. We are at the bottom of the hour. I would like to thank you all for your time today. I also would like to remind you that if you have any questions, I would love to answer those questions now. I'm happy to stay on these calls as long as you have questions. So we do, I see a hand up by Stephanie. Stephanie, I'm going to unmute your microphone here. Hello, Stephanie? Oh, I think she typed her question in. She says, how do you change the group photo? So I'm assuming you mean this photo that's over here of all the people in the hard hats and things. Okay. So you can do that by, let's say that I wanted to change it. I could go to the chapter info page or my home page. I renamed it chapter info. And you can remove that picture by deleting it. So I could just delete that photo there and then insert a new photo of my chapter. Of course, you have to have a photo of your chapter first, and make sure that you upload that photo to the library in order to be able to insert that photo. So the first step would be upload that photo to the library. So I go and find my chapter photo on my computer. I don't know if I have anything good here, but let's say that this was a photo of my chapter, and click Upload. Then I would go back to the home page and click on Edit Content. I'll tell you what, let's make this easier to see. Then I would remove this picture. So I highlight it and click Delete. And then I can upload a new picture by clicking on the Image button, browsing the server, and finding the picture that I just uploaded. I can change the size of it if I want to, and click OK. Does that help, Stephanie? Does anybody else have any additional questions? And you notice how easy it was to, once I had that backup copy, I clicked on Source, Control A, and I pasted back in. And now you can see my website is back to its default. I'm going to save that and publish it. And I just restored a backup of my website. Do we have any other questions? I'd love to answer those questions now. All right, if there's no other questions, I would also invite you, please, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. We do webinar announcements and reminders and updates and upgrade announcements and new features and all sorts of things up here on our Facebook page. So please come give us a like and participate in that conversation. Reminder that it will also, this recording in a couple of days will be uploaded to YouTube, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. And also support.bniconnect.com, or click the question mark in BNI Connect. And there's a ton of self-help documentation here, so please go through and have a look through there. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for being on the call today. I look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. The next webinar is tomorrow, June 19th, and this is the Member Tools and Reports. So a lot of things that you may not have ever known existed in BNI Connect. A good referral for me is to please go back to your chapters, let your other members know about these webinars. I'd love to get the knowledge out of our brains and into yours. Thanks for being here today, everybody. Happy connecting. Have a great day.